Section for you, I think, caught back up on something.
Figure out what you're wrong.
Yeah. I did maybe, I did 8 months.
So then you probably checked it, you tried to do it more.
Yeah.
Hey, like your diligence. Nice.
Preston, do you have your homework? I don't think so.
Would be permanent?
This one,
Fix some more mistakes.
is that your only answer?
Wanted to, where's that?
Do you not get anything that?
It makes more sense to rewrite it.
I did not say this stuff we're getting now.
Plus 3,
Good.
8.
You have it.
Alright.
No, you just.
Oh, you know what, you both got moved? Wait a minute. Who got the
Slagger.
Actually, how do you feel about that? Sounds pretty good. Okay, good.
What did I
You can do more homework, man. You'll be rolling.
Is there a church?
Oh, yeah? Joe? Yeah. We got that, okay. Still passing? Still passing?
Put it on a, you report?
What,
Oh, no, I didn't What is it? Less than. Why are we? Why? How long have we been doing this?
Good job.
6.5 is bigger than 6.3.
Wait, how did I miss?
Oh, I did not. Oh, yes. Yeah. You look sick. I should have done and I have seen more. Sam.
Hey, listen up. We are going to deal this whole section, chapter deals with inequalities, which means less than, greater than. And then also with equations or solving inequalities like we did with equations. So like it's a good kind of transition from equations. If you did well with equations, you should continue to do well. If you needed a little bit of extra help, this should give that to you. All right, what do I put into this spot? Because sometimes I assume that when you look at this, that we're reading the same thing, and that's not always the case. Okay, Joe?
The right is bigger.
The right is bigger. So which one? How about do I put in the first one? How about I do this? The first one. So you say like that, right?
Yeah.
Because it always points to the lower one, right? And then how would I read this? I would say -3 is less than 2. Okay, so I agree. Call
6.5 is greater than 6.3.
6.5 is greater than 6.3. So it points to the smaller one, but you would say greater than. Now you could also, we typically read it left to right, but it's also saying 6.3 is less than 6.5 because it's pointing to it. For that. Well, how about 1/2 and -3/4? Well, since that's negative, 1/2 has to be greater than -3/4. And then 0.25 and 1/4?
Or 0.25 is equal to 1/4.
0.25 is equal to 1/4. Okay, so less than, greater than, or equal to. Okay, it always points to the smaller one, but you got to watch how you read it. Okay, I can say -3 is less than 2. All right, here's all your symbols. Okay, all your symbols, you got that right at the top. What does it say? In the line, in inequality. Basically, in that top line, you should go the word inequality. Okay, that top blank, if you would. Two quantities aren't equal. Like my salary is greater than Mr. Schlur's salary. Okay, so we're going to compare salaries. His win total is greater than my win total. Okay?
That's what they call life not being fair.
That's right. So if you look at things, you're going to compare, you're always going to be lower, less than somebody else in some regard. You're always going to be greater than somebody else in some regard. But this is how it is worded. So if it's pointing to the left, is less than, is greater than. We put that line underneath, you say is less than or equal to. It's an or. It doesn't have to be both. It can't be both. It can be equal to it or less than it. Greater than or equal to, not equal to. Okay, just using the symbols. A solution of an inequality is any value that makes it true. Now here's the key that's going to be a little bit different. With equations, we got one answer that worked. We got x equals 2. Here we're going to get a whole slew of answers because it's going to be like less than 2. So we're going to get more than one answer, which is going to be a little bit different. All right, graphing. Okay, hopefully for these symbols, you either use a solid dot or a hollow dot. The hollow dot means it doesn't include the point. So if I want all the numbers that are less than 5, I have to start at 5 and I shade everything to the left. So less than is to the left as long as it's, the x is first. X is greater than -1, hollow dot at -1, shaded to the right. Less than or equal to 1/2, solid dot. Greater than or equal to 0, solid dot. Okay. Caitlin, do you remember that? Does that make sense from the past? The solid dot and hollow dot. Yes?
No.
Kind of or no? All right, that's what I like to hear. Like if you don't remember, that's what good. Let me just hit that again. If it just says less than or greater than, there's no equal to part. We on a graph, we use a hollow dot, and that is for less than or greater than, because it means that point is not actually part of the answer. If we want our point to be part of the answer, because it has the equal to part, you put a solid dot. Okay, so that's for less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. That means 0 is part of an answer. 3 is bigger than 0, 4 is bigger than 0. All these numbers to the right is 0, and then 0 is equal to it. So I got to include that. Hollow dot, greater than or less than. Solid dot, less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. Okay, so when we graph.
I guess that's a pretty easy concept, but I can't tell you how many times when the test comes and kids will just, do it backwards. Just figure out how to remember when you fill in the circle and when you don't.
All right, this isn't on your notes, so just pay attention here. And this is one thing that, like, mistake we see a lot. We always wanna write, you have to write the X first as your answer, but you're gonna be problems where you end up with this. Okay, you're gonna end up with this. Is that the same as X is greater than 5, or is that the same as X is less than 5? Okay, which one would be equivalent? Connor, is my question even making sense? Not real. So if you have this and I tell you to write it with the X first, which of these would be correct? Do you know?
A.
You say A. No.
Alright, sorry, my bad. No, I saw it. Never mind. Yeah, it'd be B.
It would be. Here's why. When you flip the order, okay, it says 5. You read this as 5 is greater than X. Well, if I want to put the X first, if it's pointing towards the X here, it has to be pointing towards the X when I flip the order. Okay? So that's the same as X is less than 5. Some people just flip these and then leave the sign the same way. That's going to be incorrect. All right, so you just got to be careful there. If I have -10 is less than X and I rewrite it, I got to say X is greater than -10. Okay, it still has to be pointing to the -10. All right, anytime you flip the order, okay, so I got 12 is less than X. That's the same as X is greater than 12. Got it? Just be careful on that. Preston, got it? All right, you better. All right, graphing. Now you got a blank one here. Okay, so, and we don't need to fill in every number all the time, but you got to be able to graph. So C is greater than 2.5. Here's what I'm going to do is right in the middle. I'm actually going to put 0, 1, 2, 3. I think 4 is enough.
Jeff, are you recording?
Yes,
That.
we got it this time. We got it. All right, I guess I didn't put it right in the middle. I should have been 1 over. But as long as I get past 2.5. All right, what kind of dot, Caitlin?
What are they, like, what are the options?
Your options are solid, hollow, or rainbow.
Hollow. Are you doing A? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hollow.
So you're gonna say hollow?
Yeah.
Yes, it is a hollow dot. And now you can just, since C is greater than 2.5, what I can do is I can estimate there. Now, sometimes people put it above the line or right on there, just depends. And I don't care either way, but put a hollow dot there. And in which way do we shade? We shade to the right or to the left, huh? To the right. I want all the numbers bigger than 2.5, which would be 3, 4, 5, 6. So you want to do that. Oops. Now, if you want to put it right on the line, that's fine, although mine's not cooperating. I'll leave that. Okay, so it starts at 2.5. Those are all the numbers bigger than 2.5. Now, sometimes they'll try and throw some garbage at you here and just to kind of trip you up, but you're not going to get tripped up. You need to simplify this a little bit. It says 2 squared minus 4. Well, what's 2 squared minus 4? That is 4. Whoops. 4 minus 4, which is 0. So 0, is greater than or equal to W. Now, this is that case we just went over. I don't want to leave it like this. I want to flip it and write the W first. So London, how should I write it?
W is less than 0.
Make sure you say less than or equal to because of that symbol. But yes, less than or equal to. So now I'm just going to start 0, 1, 2, -1, -2. That's enough because 0 is where it starts. All right, Sam, solid or hollow dot?
Hollow.
If it has the equal to part,
Oh, solid.
solid. Because it includes that. And then I'm shading to the, which way should I shade? Which way should I shade? Christian,
To the right.
why to the right?
Oh, to the left.
Why to the left?
Because you flipped it.
Okay. Yes, and here's the thing. A lot of people will take this and they'll shade it to the right incorrectly because it points that way. That's why we always rewrite it. So W is less than or equal to 0. I want all the numbers that are smaller than 0, which would be negatives. So I do shade to the left. Okay, so just be careful there. M is less than or equal to -3. I want all the numbers smaller than -3. So I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to start at 0. -1, -2, -3, -4. Okay, how do I want to do this one? Okay, Zachary.
From -3, put a solid dot.
Okay. Whoops, that's not -3. Okay, and then what?
Then you shade in to the left.
To the left, because it is less than or equal to. Good. Solid dot for the less than or equal to part, hollow dot for the other part. Oh, look at this mess. 2/3 of x is less than or equal to 6. All right, how do I get that x by itself? How do I get that x by itself, Christian?
Times it by 3/2.
All right, good. That's from our last test. So multiply it by 3/2. 3/2. That gives me x is less than or equal to. All right, what's 6/2 times 3/2? Use your calculators. 9?
Yeah.
X is less than or equal to 9. All right, now, if I don't have a number close to 0, you can start your graph at that number. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go right to the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to put a 9. To the right, I'm just going to go up. And this is fine. You don't always have to have 0 on your graph. Solid dot at 9. And which way do we shade? We're going to shade to the left. Okay, we're going to shade to the left. All right, so that's just taking a statement and graphing it. Okay, that's just making sure we understand the greater than or equal to or the less than or equal to. Got it? And then how we shade it. Where are we at now? On the back? All right, flip it over.
By 2/3. Okay. And multiply by 3x.
All right, backwards. I'm giving you the graph. You're going to tell me what inequality matches that graph. How do you can use an X. You can use an X or an N. It doesn't matter. You can use an X. So if you take a look at that top one.
So do it here, I gotta do it.
Morgan, Candle. What inequality do you think matches this graph? Less than? Okay. We want all the numbers that are less than what? 2. So here's how you write the inequality. You just say x. X is less than 2. X is less than 2. And you have to have a variable there. So x is less than 2. So take a look at that second one. You got that graph. Zachary?
X is greater than or equal to -0.5.
X is greater than or equal to -0.5. Okay, that's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. It's for that one. So they're it's going backwards. They're giving you the graph. You give me the inequality. All right. Now, this isn't on your notes, but think if you can understand this. The girls' soccer team gave up no more than 3 goals in any game this year. What does that mean? No more than. Okay.
No more than. So they didn't score more than 3.
Okay, so they could have scored what? They could have scored 0, 1. What else? 2, or 3, because they've scored 4. No. The leading scorer for the NCAA of men's basketball for the last 5 years averaged at least 24.8 points per game.
That's the minimum.
That's the minimum. That's a good way to word it. That's the minimum. So at least, so we could have scored 24.8. I probably averaged about 28.7, in the rec league last year. And then somebody could have averaged 34.2. And what Ja Morant averaged in college? Real.
High 20s, right?
We'll give him 31.8. But that's the minimum. So here's what this means. No more than means less than or equal to. Okay, no more than means, so that's right there on your sheet. No more than means less than or equal to. At least means greater than or equal to. So if you have to have at least a 90% to go to the movies. Okay, you could have higher than a 90, but you couldn't have anything below. That'd be your minimum. Okay. All right. We good there? So now let's see if we can just write. Don't overcomplicate this. It says we need to be able to write this out. It says Ray's dad told him not to turn on the air conditioner unless the temperature is at least 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Define a variable and write an inequality for the temperature which Ray can turn on the air conditioner. Graph the solution. All right, how would you list that? Okay, so you just got to come up with an inequality. Christian?
85 is greater than or equal to X.
All right, now don't write this down yet. Don't write this down yet. Not that you're wrong, but I want to do something.
I have no idea.
85 is greater than or equal to X. All right, we use the word at least, right? What did we just say at least means?
Greater than or equal to.
Okay, now, so the way you have it worded, you need to flip it, okay? Because this is actually saying X is smaller than 85. So you got to write your variable first. So X is greater than or equal to 85, because it could be 85 or it could be 86. Now it says define the variable, so let X equal your temperature. So you need to say that somewhere. All right. So now, even though you use the right sign, you have to put the X first. So X has to be greater than or equal to 85. Okay. All right, now to graph this, okay, I'm just going to put 85, and then you can skip a line and put 90 and then 95, and then if I go down, I'll put 80 and 75. You don't need to go by ones every time, but you need to be consistent. You can't go up by fives and down by ones, or up by twos and down. It has to go up the same amount. And if you want to go up by ones, that's okay. It's just not necessary every time. So greater than or equal to 85, you'll put a solid dot, okay? Because it could be 85, and then you can turn the temperature on or the air conditioner on. So that would be the case there. Right. So at least greater than or equal to, no more than, less than or equal to. Okay, for that. All right, now that was section 3.1. These are two very quick sections, and we're just going to go through one-step inequalities where we're solving them. So, like, we had x plus 4 equals 8. We knew how to solve that, right? We just do what? Subtract 4. Instead of an equal sign, I'm going to put in a less than or a greater than. Got it? All right, so let's see what we got here. As long as you do the same thing on both sides, the inequality is going to be fine. Okay, so just watch. Just watch. So if I got x plus 12 is less than 20, what would I do? Okay. Zachary? Subtract 12. Whoops, that's just rewriting the problem. Subtract 12. That's a 0. We don't need to write that. We just end up with x is less than 8. So really, how many answers do we have? What are the two answers? What's the one answer?
X is less than.
I'm going to disagree with you. Is 7 less than 8?
I have no idea what you did that.
Is the number smaller less than 8?
Yeah.
Is the number 6 less than 8?
Yeah.
Is the number 5 less than 8?
Yeah.
Any of those numbers work because 7 plus 12 is 19. That's less than 20. 6 plus 12 is 18. I got an infinite number of answers. That's why I graph them. All of these are answers. Before, we just got one answer. We got 8 was an answer. Now we got an infinite number of answers. That's why we graph them.
Or we're solving for the variable. So when we solve an equation, we only get that x equals 8. But visually, when we solve an inequality, I'm going to graph it and I can see all my answers. So
You get all the answers. All right, that first one. This one's on your sheet, right?
I can see all my answers.
D minus 5 is greater than
Yeah,
7.
line.
Get the D by itself. Josh Cofield, what do I do for this one? Preston, show your work. Add 5 to both sides, okay? And so when you do that, this just gives you D is greater than, now be careful, what's negative 7 plus 5? -2, right? Now, if you want to, you can start with that answer right in the middle, but you just got to be careful. If I start with -2 there and I go to the right, I get bigger. What should be the next number to the right of -2? Okay. -1. So it's going up. -1 and then 0. And then 1 and then 2 and then negative. I go the opposite way. I'm getting smaller. So it'd be -3, -4, -5. So a hollow dot at -2. And which way do I need to shade? I need to shade to the
Right.
right. That means all those numbers work. So if I put in, like, is 10 to the right? 10's to the right. 10 minus 5 is 5. Is 5 bigger than -7? Yep. All the ones that make it bigger than -7. Okay? So I get an infinite number of answers. All right. Second one. Ooh, we got to be careful here. All right, Joe, what do you think? I would add 0.3 to both sides. Good.
Yeah.
0.9 plus 0.3 is 1.2 is greater than or equal to n. But here's what you cannot leave that as an answer. So, Connor, how do I rewrite that?
You're gonna flip it, n is less than or equal to 1.2.
Good. Okay, you've got a couple options here to graph this. You can put 1.2 in the middle and then pick a value to go up by. I'm going to go up by 0.2. I'm going to go down by 1.2. And I'm going to shade solid dot. Sometimes you see people shade like that. That's fine. N is less than or equal to. Now, other times, like if you saw this graph and somebody did 0, 1, and 2 and they put a dot at 1.2 or approximated it and then shaded to the left, that would be okay as well. Okay. I just want you to understand that you might see a different graph than what you have. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean you're wrong. But you just think you have to make sure your intervals go up the same amount. Or if you don't go up, have that show up, make sure it's in the right spot. All right, flip it over in the back. Now here's what we talked about, because I told Christian for that first one, or I thought it was like, there's an infinite number of answers at work, right? So this is harder to check because you just can't plug in the value. But here's what happens. Whatever answer you get for the 6, if you plug it in, 6 plus 9, it should give you the same number. That kind of is a check to show you whether you're right. All right, done. All right, thank you for that one. And then you might pick a number below that just to double check it. So these are a little bit harder to check for that one. All right, third one here. All right, we got the gift card. Actually, we're running out of time, aren't we? Whoa. Let me give you this, and then we'll fix anything we need to tomorrow.
That's a lot of work.
It's really not too bad. It's really not.
Is it gonna be on campus?
Yeah, it'll be on campus. I'll put it on there. Like you can look up the assignment.
Every single day.
Find your way here.
It'll be on.
You're very right.
You missed 4, then how do you miss 2 and you missed?
Because each question we want.
Exactly, so you missed 4 points.
I I missed one question, actually, I missed half, how about you?
Oh, I missed that. I missed 4 points.
I don't know. What's 81 to 76? I missed 4.